This question is about a very important current affair. Okay, so you need to have an idea about this current affair so to answer this question properly. And there is a high chance that they may ask this question from this particular topic. The reason is that in the financial year 1920, especially you can see that from 1819 financial year, 1920 financial year, our economy is showing signs of slowdown because consistently our economic growth is slowing down. Okay, so if the economic growth or GDP growth is consistently slowing down, we say that our economy or any economy is slowed down. Okay, so in the last 2 years, Indian economy is facing this situation. Okay, we are in a slowdown, and governments also accepted that the economy is in slowdown. Okay, now there have been a debate whether the slowdown is structural slowdown or cyclical slowdown. Okay, initially the government was saying that this slowdown is cyclical, but there were some critics which argued that, or the economics which argued that it is structural this slowdown is structural slowdown. Okay, so because of this, so whether our economy is a slowdown is whether our economic slowdown is due to cyclical or structural, that is a matter of opinion. But in the current context, we can say that it is both cyclical as well as structural. Okay, so because of this, many times this topic have come in the newspaper. So there is a high chance that UPSC will ask question on whether the slowdown maybe concept on cyclical slowdown or structural slowdown. Okay, now so we know that what is a slowdown. Okay, it is a consistent slowing down. Okay, the economic growth is lowering, means it is continuously falling. Okay, so in the case of cyclical slowdown, okay, from the term itself you need to understand. Okay, it is a part of a economic cycle. Okay, so whenever we know that the economy will grow over a period of time, after it may reach its peak, and then gradually it will slow down. It may even go down. There is a chance that if the slowdown is not addressed properly, it may even move into recession, which is the worst form of slowdown. Okay, so in the cyclical slowdown is nothing but it is a period of lean economic activity. Okay, we say that economic activity will be very lean, and it can happen at regular intervals. So that's why it is called as cyclical. It can happen at regular interval. There will be economic activity will be very low or lean, and there's a chances of this slowdown happening is regular. It can happen at regular interval. Okay, now so the interesting point, the key feature to note down about this cyclical slowdown is that it lasts from a short to medium term. Okay, so normally cyclical slowdown lasts for short term, or it can go up to a medium term. Okay, so not long term. Cyclical slowdown will not go for a long term. Okay, it happens at a regular interval. The time period it persists is either for a short term or to a medium term, and are based on changes in the business cycle. I told you as the business cycle changes from boom, it may reach its peak when there will be the huge investment, huge expenditure. So that is the peak period. Sometimes it will go very low when the economic activity is very low. So based on the business cycle, changes in the business cycle, based on the changes in the business cycle, this such cyclical slowdown may extend up to a short period or to a medium term period. Now, in order to address cyclical slowdown, the government will go for fiscal and monetary measures. Okay, the government will go for fiscal measures, RBI will go for monetary measures, and including need-based regulatory changes. Okay, so in order to address cyclical slowdown, the government will come with fiscal stimulus, maybe in the form of tax cut. We have seen in recently that there are corporate tax have been cut by the government. Government expenditure is very high. When government spends more, especially in the last 2 years. Okay, so we can see the high government expenditure. So these are fiscal measures. RBI is following monetary measures. Consistently, RBI is cutting repo rate. RBI is injecting more liquidity. They are monetary measures. And if the economy is facing any regulatory hurdles in the form of difficulty for the businessman to run the businesses, especially finding it difficult in order to start the business quickly. So regulatory changes in the form of government is now almost all the states and the central government is ensuring a easy to do business environment. So such type of regulatory changes all are required to revive the economy. And so if there is a consistency and correlation between these fiscal, monetary as well as the regulatory measures, the economy can be recovered from this type of slowdown. Okay, so that is about cyclical slowdown. Now structural slowdown. Okay, as the term suggests, okay, this slowdown, we know that slowdown is due to low economic activity, consistent fall in the GDP growth rate. Okay, and in the case of structural slowdown, the slowdown is due to structural factors. Okay, structural factors means, see, economy has many structure. Okay, so this is a big issue. For example, if the economic activity due to low manufacturing, okay, manufacturing problem or industrial problem, or poor agricultural activity, or due to some problems associated with the service sector, construction sector. Okay, so if the structural slowdown means it is due to some problem in the structure of the economy and it is much more problematic, or it is deep rooted. Okay, it's a deep rooted phenomena. It is having more severe impact than the cyclical slowdown, and since it is due to the structural problems, this structural slowdown remain over a long term period. Unlike cyclical slowdown, which remain for a short to medium term period, structural slowdown remain for a long term. And you need to understand that why structural slowdown can happen. In the current 21st century, structural slowdown can occur due to disruptive technologies. Okay, disruptive technologies can be a factor for structural slowdown. Changing demographics, even the consumer behavior, change in the consumer behavior, demographics, this disruptive technologies can all be the factor for structural slowdown. So since this structural slowdown remain for a longer period, the government need to address this. The government should ensure that what are the weaknesses in its different economic structure and necessary structural reforms. We have done this structural reforms at many part of our, especially 1991. Okay, 1991 economic reforms is one of the most important structural reforms made after the independence, and over a period of time, continuously we are making many reforms. Recently, many agricultural reforms have been done by the government, industrial reforms, ease of doing business, many structural reforms have been done. But so this, since it is a long term, fixing such problem require some major reforms in its structural policies. Okay, so structural slowdown can be addressed by ensuring structural reforms in the various policies the government do. Okay, so in order to address the structural slowdown, the government have a major role to play in order to address such type of structural slowdown. Okay, especially if there is any problem with supply side constraints. Okay, if there is any problem with the functioning of bringing investment to our country due to certain policies. Okay, so we need to address all those concerns. Okay, so basically structural slowdown is much more having severe in nature. That's why the government used to say that, okay, the slowdown which the India was facing is not cyclical but structural. Means it was saying that it is not structural, it is cyclical. But we can see that in the especially after the 1920 financial 1920, it is showing some problem with the structural problems also. That's why in this budget 2021 onwards, we are seeing many reforms, especially at the MSME level, especially then agricultural reforms, and as well as industrial reforms the government is taking. And also in order to address the problem of increasing spending by the consumer, personal income tax cut have happened, corporate tax have happened in late 2019, etc. Okay, now we'll try to solve this question. Cyclical slowdown is a more deep-rooted phenomena driven by disruptive technologies and changing demographics. Okay, so no, this is not the feature of cyclical slowdown, it is a feature of structural slowdown. So first statement is wrong. Structural slowdown is a period of lean economic activity that occurs at regular intervals? No, it is not the feature of structural slowdown, it is a feature of cyclical slowdown. So the features of cyclical slowdown and structural slowdown have been changed. So both the statements are wrong. So your answer will be D, neither one, no two.